Hey, this is Mr. Spencer. Today I'm going over Thoreau and Emerson, Walden, Life in the Woods, and Ralph Waldo Emerson's Nature and Self-Reliance. Henry David Thoreau, he's a very smart man who decided to live alone in the woods for 2 years and leave society behind. Sound fun to you? He helped start a new philosophy group in the 1800s called the Transcendentalists. They might be what you'd call prototype hippies, you might say. To transcend means to go beyond. They were a group of writers and thinkers based in Concord, Massachusetts in the mid-19th century. The leader of the pack was actually Thoreau's pal, Ralph Waldo Emerson. Where is Waldo? He happened to loan him the land that Walden Pond, where Thoreau built his cabin and would ultimately commence on his own personal experiments. Emerson expressed his transcendentalist philosophy in famous essays like Nature and Self-Reliance, which we're reading excerpts from. He had promoted such values as individualism, freedom from conformity, and nature as a source of spiritual renewal for mankind. It was March of 1845. Thoreau decides to build a cabin by Walden Pond near Concord, Massachusetts, thus beginning his so-called personal experiment. His goal is to discover everything he can about human nature, and he thinks he can do this best when he doesn't have to deal with the normal worldly concerns like material goods, human society, money. Basically, he's super crunchy. Walden is largely structured the book around seasonal changes that Thoreau observes during his 2 years at Walden Pond, from summer, winter, spring, fall. His days are filled with things most of us would never take the time or have the opportunity to do, like farming and observing different flora and fauna. That basically means plants and animals that inhabit the area. Sometimes he puts his party hat on and he goes into the village, but on one such occasion, he's actually arrested. Oops. And he spends the night in jail for not paying a poll tax. Thoreau's essay, he wrote Civil Disobedience, describes his theory that you are not only encouraged to disobey laws that you think are wrong, you are not only encouraged to disobey laws you think are wrong or unjust, you are obligated to stand up and disobey them. As he disagreed with paying a tax that he knew would be used to give money to a war that he didn't believe in. He was a free thinker, a lawbreaker, and a rebel. Some of my favorite lines from the writing, Walden, or Life in the Woods, he says, in the first chapter, I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. He says later, I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life. He also says later, simplify, simplify. He says, why should we live with such hurry and waste of life? We are determined to be starved before we are hungry. He's not talking about food hunger in your stomach. He's talking about a spiritual hunger somewhere deep down behind your heart. I don't know, your soul, your guts. And he also says, I do not wish to be any more busy with my hands than is necessary. My head is hands and feet. My favorite lines from Emerson's Nature, he says, nature always wears the colors of the spirit. He says, the sun illuminates only the eye of the man, but shines into the eye and the heart of the child. It's a metaphor about the sun. Is that the source of all life in the universe? Is that the source of all of our energy? Is that the source of all of our spirituality? The sun? Mr. Spencer's favorite lines from Emerson's Self-Reliance, he later says that imitation is suicide, and you must trust thyself. Every heart vibrates to that iron string. Accept the place the divine providence has found for you, the society of your contemporaries, the connection of events. Accept the place that you're given. That's my overview of Thoreau and Emerson, and you have some of the other documents that go over reading what they said in this language from the 19th century. I tried to break it down for you a little bit here, and on the assignment you're doing, you're trying to find an example that you can try out transcendentalism. And on that Google Doc assignment, when you pull it up, you've got the chart where you need to find the quotes and write down a page number that you found it. Okay, so you'll find that on the actual PDF that I had here. And let me pull it over to my screen so you can read more carefully in the PDF. Okay, it starts with a little bit of background on Emerson and Thoreau. If you find the page number, you'll see the page numbers down at the bottom of each page. Okay, and I also had the other document that I kind of shortened it so you don't have to read quite as much. Okay, so you can find all that on It's Learning. And the Google Doc that you're doing, you're trying to write out a quotation with the page number and then rewrite it in your own words. Simplify it. Like if you had a fifth grader you were trying to explain this to, how would you explain this to a fifth grader? Non-conformity means don't blend in. Don't just join the group. Don't join the herd. Bah. Okay, don't be like a sheep. Non-conformity. The other idea that the Transcendentalists believed in was self-reliance. Okay, self-reliance means you can only depend on yourself. You can't rely on other people, just depend on yourself. That means the farmers, the grocery stores, the restaurants. Where do you get your food from? Self-reliance. Are you hunting? Are you gathering? Transcendentalists also believed in confidence to the utmost degree. Believe in yourself, trust thyself. And they believed in the importance of nature. The natural world is where we can find meaning in life. Can you find any other artists or songs that you think the Transcendentalists might overlap with? Give me an idea there, and I might use it in a future assignment. We'll do some song lyric analysis if I get some good examples from you. All right, this is Mr. Spencer signing off.